Hello, I'm Dr. Qureshi. This is our fifth episode, and I'm excited to talk about pricing and cost of veterinary services, which is such a controversial thing, and every pet owner want to know about it, more about it. So, first of all, I'd like to tell you that vet services and pet care is not a charity; is a business. So there are two aspects to this. One is a veterinarian providing a pet service, veterinary services, healthcare, and all that. The other aspect is a business aspect, which is more costing, pricing, managing their own business. And they're two separate things. And sometimes as veterinarians, we get caught into compassionate issue where we want to help the owners and the pets, but the pet care sometimes and the cost and pricing come in the middle of it. So it causes a lot of pressure on the team of a veterinarian. So let's talk about how the pricing works in a small animal hospital.
Okay, thank you.
John, is that good?
Yes,
good area to start with?
Yeah, we would like to know how those individual costs are determined, what goes into each service and the cost associated with it.
Oh, okay. So first of all, in small animal practice in Ontario, most of the veterinary hospitals or the owners, they take their pricing from the OVMA fee guide, which is the Ontario Veterinary Medical Association fee guide they publish every year. And that's a very complex process, and a profession does that for them. And some vets just take that and then apply to their hospital because all the work is already done for them. That's an easier way. If you ask an average hospital owner how you cost and how you price and everything, they have no idea. They know the work is done for them and they're up. But you cannot follow that totally because that's controversial. That's price fixing. You can't do that. So some vets, what they do is, for example, in Toronto area, certain area where the cost is high of providing the veterinary services, they go either the OVMA fee guide or go a little bit above. And some of the rural practices, they go a little bit below, and some go in the middle because they want to be competitive, because it's a business, right? So you have to be competitive to other practices. So it's no rhyme or to it, like how you price a veterinary practice. But ideally, if they follow the costs and follow the proper method, what it costs for their businesses, and then price them, is a complex process, and you cannot pay enough for a vet service or run a hospital. And vets are already undercharged, in my opinion. I've seen over the last 30 years, they're already undercharged. So that's the way the pricing in Ontario is determined, in my opinion, and I've seen it. A lot of the vets do that, and that's kind of never been brought up. Okay.
Do you know why vets tend to undercharge, and like how widespread that kind of issue is?
Yeah, good question, Sean. Because they don't value their time and service and the team that provide the service and everything, and they think that when they go to vet school, when they graduate, when they come in a hospital, they are in there for providing a good care to the pet and look after the owners, and the reality is that the business need to be run. There's certain costs to the business, so they have no education, they don't have no knowledge. They never learn when they start the practice. So they always try to help the owner, help the pet, and they don't know what the cost and the value of the service is, and that's where the undercharging happens.
Yeah, and I think that's something actually we, being in a marketing agency, we experience is, like you said, veterinary clinic owners, they may not understand the business aspect of it. They've gone through the education,
right,
to care for their animals, for animals and for all of our pets, and when it comes to running the clinic itself, that business operations side, they're a little bit uneducated. And I assume like that's where you had mentioned that the fee guide comes from. Is that kind of a tool to help veterinarians, kind of price their services fairly?
Exactly. So I think the OVMA, or the Ontario Veterinary Association, they had done a great job in educating the veterinarians over the year that, if you want to provide the best and the optimal care to the pet, you have to charge appropriately for it so you can pay your veterinarian properly, you pay your staff properly, you provide a quality care, and don't cut corners on that. And I think they've done a great job. So it's a guideline, right?
Okay.
And then you adjust individual hospital, adjust the cost according to what their practice is for, what their team is like, how much profit they want to generate, what the individual costs are. And some of the, business savvy hospital owners, they learn that over time. And so here's the deal. 25 or 30% of the practices in Ontario, they're corporate practices. They know how to make money. They know how to charge. Right. They have big resources. They are multi-million-dollar companies who run those. And still 65 to 70% practices are individual owner operated, one or two operated.
Okay.
So they still get their pricing from that way. Okay. So that's what it is. So now let's talk about when you as a client spend $1, do you know where that goes to? You think maybe the vet is driving a BMW or a Mercedes and all he's taking everything home. Do you know where that goes?
No, I definitely don't. I mean, I see the clinic. I know the medicine they have.
Right.
We don't necessarily know how much the medicine will cost the clinic before they provide it to us.
Okay, yeah. So here's the deal. $1 you spend at a vet hospital, 30 to 35 cents out of $1 goes to the cost of goods they buy. Drugs, foods, any supplies and everything. Okay? An average. But it's going up like anything else.
Oh, right.
Right?
Of course.
And then 20 cents is on the veterinarians. And then another 20 cents on the team. That's nurses, receptionists, and other team members, right? So you're looking at already 75% on costs and your HR cost or the human resources cost and everything. Mm-hmm. Now you're left with that 20 to 25% margin. You have to maintain facility. You have to pay your rent or mortgage. You have to pay your bills. And you have to, the hospital owner has to get a return on their investment, what the money they have put into the hospital. So now you can tell me how much is left to spend on anything else. Is very low. So I think there's a lot of misnomer there that, vets gouge and they overcharge and everything. But if you look at the cost of running a pet hospital and providing you the best care and best service for it, that's where your money goes there. And people have to understand that they shouldn't be putting too much pressure on the hospital team because they're trying to do their best job, but yet certain costs they have to bear and they have to recover those costs there. So nothing is for free. It's a business.
Of course.
Know what I mean? But one thing I tell you over the years and experience and in being in that profession, whoever is in that profession, they're truly pet or animal lovers. Otherwise, they won't be in that profession.
Of course.
You probably noticed that with dealing with your own veterinarian because they go into this profession thinking they're going to help the pet. They have those dreams and everything. But the sad reality comes also, there's also a business. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes they get undue stress they take because they cannot differentiate how to help a pet. People don't have money, and that balance they have to do among their team. Okay?
Right. So when because they obviously the fees that veterinarians charge, like they vary so much, and you touched upon why they charge different rates, And I know sometimes, sometimes we shop on price, and whether that's for the lowest price or we just assume that the higher price means higher quality service. It does sound like that's not necessarily something you can go by with veterinary care. With all this uncertainty around what the clinics charge, what can consumers, pet owners do? Like, how do we decide on like where we could find good veterinary care?
I think that's a valid and good question. You're absolutely right. Not always a high price mean high quality of care, and not always low price mean a low quality care. I think you have to compare apple to apple. I think the confidence of a pet owner goes on the veterinarians.
Okay.
If that veterinarian is ethical, is genuine, is giving you sincere advice, there's no hidden motive or anything like that. I think most of us, we go to a pet hospital because they treat you well, they treat your pets well, and all that. But to answer your question, I think you have to, as a consumer or as a pet owner, you have to compare apple to apples. For example, doing a spay or a variohysterectomy surgery, you get a quote from one hospital, you get a quote from the other hospital, and you quote from the third hospital. Just compare that, what's included in it. And you will find there's a lot of difference. Some people suggest a spay, $250, and some say they break it down for you and say that includes this. I think the quality comes from what they provide you.
Okay.
In our business, there's also upselling.
Of course.
Like any business, because it's a business, right?
I have this to say from my own personal experience when we had our youngest dog spayed or neutered. Sorry, Archie. One of the services that they suggested or like didn't require, but it was a laser neuter.
Right.
I believe it's cleaner, less scarring, quicker healing, something like that. Obviously, much more expensive than traditional neuter. But I think that's in terms it was an option that was shown to us.
That's a baloney. that's totally unmarked for. In our hospitals, I've been using laser for 25 years.
Okay.
And I never charge extra the client for laser surgery because it doesn't mean that you cut with a blade or cut with a laser. It's the incision you're making with that and you're doing the surgery. Yes, the machine costs a lot of money, but that's part of your business cost, right? You shouldn't be charging people for doing extra. That's a business decision they have taken, which I think is a poor marketing and poor business. You shouldn't be charging extra fee for the laser. You should bundle it up. That's my opinion, and that's what we always have done it.
Okay.
Yeah, you should tell the client very transparently what includes in, but extra cost for laser surgery mean nothing.
Okay, good to know. You mentioned getting an estimate for, especially for a major surgery from multiple clinics. Is that a good practice? Like, are clinics okay? Like to say like you're going to shop around? Is it good to try to get multiple estimates for these major services?
Yeah. I mean, don't take me wrong. I think traditionally we are loyal to one hospital. We've been going there for generations. Our parents went there. Our grandparents went there. When I started in the practice I worked in, people used to come to me. I've been coming to this hospital. My grandparents used to come. My parents used to come. But things have changed over the last 10, 15 years. As a consumer, certain services become commodity.
Okay.
Spay is a spay, neuter is a neuter, and who does it and how much they charge for it. People are already shopping.
Okay.
It's no news to me as a veterinarian, and there should be no news to you. But I think you have to see what the track record of the hospital is. The question needs to be asked. I think that topic is lengthy itself that I don't want to spend too much time on it. But if you trust your veterinarian on their judgment and you have a relationship, stick with that and get. But if you think that your budget doesn't allow and you don't trust what they're telling you, then shopping around is not. People are already shopping for different products. They go to different clinics for heartworm products. They go to spay or neuter one clinic, and then they have the vaccination at the third clinic. Never used to happen. But last 10 or 15 years, I've seen in practice, people are doing that shopping. And we know that as veterinarians, that they do that. But I think in that sense, they have done poor job to let the client know why their service is not important, why they're not valued and all that. And I think blame all goes to the hospitals themselves. They should be doing a better job at it so they can keep their clients and to them.
Right, right.
I mean, if you're going to be charging laser surgery separately, people say, I don't want laser, I want the other way. There's not much difference. So let's not get into that kind of stuff which doesn't add value to a service. Okay? So I think that's the only thing I like to mention, price and cost, but there's a lot of subsectors of this topic that I could discuss in future episodes. I'm very enthusiastic about this topic because a lot of the time pet owners and the vet practices, they battle between the pet care and associate that with the business decision a pet hospital is doing. And it's very exciting to talk about that, but I can go over more.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate you sharing your experience with us. This is truly the business of pet care.
Right.